year 1796, but still election day today. And I'm here with a forgotten through history cake. This recipe today, our receipt as it used to be called, is from American Cookery, published in Hartford, Connecticut by Amelia Simmons in 1796. This book is the first cookbook published by a U.S. citizen on U.S. soil.
Mm-hmm.
So a very historically significant book, and it has a receipt in it called election cake.
Yes.
It's election day. We're going to make it, and we're going to talk about it.
Yes, we are.
Are you excited for
I'm
this cake?
very excited. I'm nervous for this cake.
Why? Is it because of this particular ingredient here?
Yeah, coriander does not belong in cake.
This is coriander.
We've done one with coriander about a month ago,
Mm-hmm.
and it was very strange. So here we are again. We're going to try it again, and there's some other spices to accompany it this time, so maybe it'll be better, but we'll find out.
Here we are again with a cake that has coriander seeds in it. It was a thing back in the day, definitely not a thing anymore. Nowadays we associate coriander with savory foods like a roast chicken. But back then they would have put it in everything, including in cake. So, election cake, what is that? Once upon a time, when the community went to wherever the election was being held in that particular community.
The polls.
Yeah, nowadays it is usually like the fire station where you go vote, or it could be the police station.
Mm-hmm.
It could even be a basement of a school. That is where a bunch of ladies the day before would get together and they would cook this election cake, and they would give a slice out to every single person who comes in and votes. That is why the original of this receipt calls for astronomical quantities. 120 cups of flour.
Now you divided this by 60 to get the portion we got today. By 60.
Yes.
Not 6, not 16, 60.
I had to divide this original recipe by 60 because this is the size of my baking pan today, and the only people I have to feed are me and you, not the entire village. So, but I was able to divide successfully, and the translated recipe is going to be in the top pinned comment like it always is. So let's get in it. Step number 1, roll up your sleeves, which I see you've already done very well.
Step number 2, which is to have your stuff made up the night before, which you have. You have what? Flour, yeast, and milk in this bowl here, and it's been rising overnight.
That's right. This bowl here, it's the first step in the receipt. It says to just combine flour with milk and yeast, and you want kind of a bread dough consistency. I've let this rise overnight. So yeast back then, you would have either made the yeast at home, or you would have gone to the brewer and you would have gotten the yeast. Yeast at home was usually made from potatoes in this time period, or it could have been made with peas, or it could have been made from beer. But a lot of times in the United States, they made it with potatoes and peas, and that was called Emptins.
Very interesting.
Mm-hmm. So step number 3, I think that's what we're on now, is we have to cream together the butter and the sugar. Nowadays, you will have an electric mixer do that. They didn't have that back then, and I actually prefer creaming butter and sugar with my hands anyway. So this is divided by 60, and we are going, I guess I'll use that instead.
So that would take 60 eggs then.
That would take about 60 eggs, yeah. But we're not at the eggs yet. We're at the creaming the butter and the sugar, which means combining butter and sugar together, in this case with your hands, until it's so well blended that it's like creamy, wet sand. So we have some butter here, which you don't want the butter to be melted.
Right. If it's melted, you're just gonna, it's gonna do something weird.
It's not gonna cream together the way you want it to cream together. Okay, I'm just gonna eyeball the amount of sugar that it told me to use. It always takes more sugar than you think to make a cake, or else you're just gonna be having some really nasty tasting bread. Okay, so I'm just gonna go in with my hands.
The messy part.
Yeah, this is the messy part of the recipe. The rest isn't nearly so bad.
I'll let you do that. You're doing a fabulous job.
Now, the original receipt says to do this for half an hour in order to make it light and airy. it really wants the butter and the sugar to be incorporated 110%.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to be here for a little bit, and I'll see you guys in half an hour.
Well, in the meantime, do you want me to whisk that one egg?
Yes, please.
Okay. Let me find the whisk.
Although you don't have to whisk it for half an hour.
No.
But it wouldn't be a bad thing if you did.
Our whisks have gone missing.
Just use a fork.
Our forks have gone missing.
Okay, I can't help you. Now, once this is done, we're going to bake it, and we're going to eat it on the Chew Chat with you all and talk about some election day facts that not even I knew about.
Yeah, well, you got 4 or 5 or so random election day fun facts that we learned this morning.
Things that we do not have anymore.
Yes.
Very strange habits and practices. Like this election day cake. Things that people used to do that they don't do anymore.
I'm sure somebody's eating cake somewhere. But is it for election purposes? I don't know.
I don't know. I've creamed the butter and sugar together until it is very well incorporated. It's light and fluffy, it's creamy and smooth, and the sugar has basically dissolved in the butter.
Looks like mashed potatoes.
It looks like mashed potatoes. Okay, so we're going to focus on the what's called the wet ingredients just for a little bit, and then we're going to add that into the flour here. So thank you, Ron, for whisking my 1 egg.
Mm-hmm.
When I divided it, it actually came out to like 0.8 eggs, but I mean, come on.
That's an egg. Because
That's
eggs
an egg.
are of various sizes, so.
Yeah, you always want to round up when it comes to eggs. Okay, so now we have some brandy.
Maybe don't put the whole thing in there. That's a lot. Okay. It's going to be a potent cake.
And then we have some wine. Yeah, I won't use all that. Now time for our spices. We have 3 spices. We have cinnamon, of course, my absolute favorite spice. I put that on everything. Then we have allspice. Just about a pinch of each. And then we have this weird one here. The ground up coriander, which just smelling it, it smells like, this should go on a lemon chicken really well.
Yeah, it's kind of lemony smelling.
It is, isn't
smells
it?
Like citrus a little bit.
Yeah. But it's going in here. It's actually a shame that there isn't any lemon peel in here, because that'd be really good.
That would make it good.
That would make it good, but I guess they thought it was too expensive to hand out to people. Okay, so I'm going to mix this up until it is smooth. And then I'm going to pour it into the flour. And, you know, because this is a yeast cake, the rules of bread apply here. So I let it rise overnight at first, but when I go to add this, I'm again going to have to let it rise for at least 40 minutes to an hour before the final step, which it makes it very clear in the receipt, is I have to wait to add the raisins until this final rise is over. It's kind of implied, but the way that it says do not add the raisins until it's ready to go in the oven implies that means that there's a second rising that has to happen with this. Plus, it's a yeast cake. There always is a second rising. Okay, so that is pulverized together. Gonna go ahead and add that in there, which doesn't look very appealing, actually.
It's the wine that makes it discolored looking.
Yeah, the wine made it look a little brown, but that's okay.
Once you're done mixing this, we'll cover it with a cloth and set it in front of the hearth and let it proof
rise. Yes, and then once that is complete, we will go in with the raisins. And then it is ready for real to be baked. We're going to try to bake this for, because it's a very small cake, for anywhere from half an hour to 50 minutes should do it. Probably at about 375. You just have to estimate from looking at how many coals are on your oven. Now this looks like some weird banana cake pudding mix. We're going to put a cloth over it and let it rise a second time.
Alright, so it's been about 40 minutes, right?
40 minutes.
Alright, so we're going to bring it to the table and see what it looks like.
We're ready for the final step. Oh yeah, it's poofed up.
Off camera, we went ahead and greased up our, what would you call this, a bun pan?
Sure, just call it a redware cake baking pan.
Okay.
Very period correct. For the late 18th century and the early 1800s, redware cake baking pans and tin baking pans were the most common ones you could find. So now we're moving on to the last step, which I thought it was a little weird that it wants me to do this last, but who am I to question a 200-year-old plus recipe, right? So we are supposed to add the raisins last. The rain has picked up outside. You can probably hear it. Just a rainy, cozy, dark day. Now I'm going to add a little bit of flour to these raisins.
There's a fly in here.
Yeah, there's all of a sudden now this fly came in here.
Well, he's going to die.
He's going to die.
I see him. Got it.
Yay! Huh. That was just about a teaspoon of flour, and you want to add the flour so that the fruit doesn't all just settle down to the bottom.
Mm-hmm. Helps it just kind of stick wherever it ends up.
Exactly. Okay, so I am going to kind of gently just fold the raisins into the batter. It feels weird to me because I let it rise for a second time. So now that I'm mixing it, I feel like I'm disrupting the air bubbles.
But it'll rise again as it cooks, I believe.
It will rise a little bit as it cooks, yes. Ron wants to be the taste tester.
Yes.
The most impatient man alive. And then could you... He stabbed it! Here I am gently folding in. He's like...
That's good.
Oh,
I don't taste the coriander, but could be different when we bake it.
that's right. Would you please kindly pour this into this?
Yes, allow me to make the mess on national TV.
Can
Here I
you
go.
believe that dividing it by 60, I still got this much?
That's gonna fill this thing up.
That is going to completely fill that up, and you definitely don't want to overfill it because it's going to rise by at least
Right.
half an inch.
So they probably won't use all of it.
Okay, we'll see.
And I
how
might
it
have
fills
you
up.
either spin it or I can do this. I'm sorry if I'm blocking you guys. Okay, spin it, spin it. It's like that game from the 90s. Spin it, pop it, flick it.
It smells like banana.
Oh no, it's falling in the hole there.
Right.
Right, a little more there. Keep going.
I think we'll have actually... Yeah, you can probably use up the whole thing.
Really? Okay. We're going all the way, guys.
We're going all the way. So if this is the quantity that you want to make, then follow this recipe. But if you're making a giant sheet pan, then double or triple a recipe.
Well, that was a perfect amount.
That
then.
was the perfect.
We're going all the way.
That was the perfect amount. This is actually our first time ever making this. I've never eaten it. Cooked, I mean. I will admit, I did lick the spoon.
That is pretty good.
Okay.
I don't taste the wine, so usually wine for us ruins things. We don't like wine.
Yeah, I don't
There's
like wine.
just enough brandy in there, actually, that it gives it a nice punch.
Yeah, you're right.
I highly recommend you get another.
Oh no, I've been snacking on it the entire 40 minutes it was rising.
I turned my back and this is what happens.
Okay, so this is what it looks like. We are going to plop it in the oven, and of course with these old historical receipts, they tend to be hilariously vague when it comes to the cooking time, among other things.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't say how long to cook it for, but I'm just estimating it's probably going to be about 30 to 50 minutes, maybe at 375 degrees.
That's why you always take a peek
Oh,
and you give it a shimmy shake, or you give it a poke,
and
or you can use a knife or a pick.
Toothpick,
and if
right?
it comes out plain, it's done.
And if it's cracking a little on top, it's probably done.
Yes.
Okay, so we're gonna go put it in and come back. I'll check on it in half an hour.
Alright guys, we are here and the cake is finished and it smells good and it looks good. Now we have not tried it yet, but you did cut into it to show you guys up close of what it looks like. The texture looks nice and crumbly like you like a cake.
I think this is going to be good. We've tried the raw dough and it tasted like banana pudding. It smells like a spice cake in here. I think this might taste good, and I'm being a little extra optimistic than I normally would be when it comes to this time period in cakes. We don't have very good history with cakes in the early 1800s.
Got him.
Or the 18th century.
It's a little warm today, and all the rain, the flies are looking for somewhere to come, and they came to the cabin, unfortunately. So I'm sorry if they're buzzing around the camera. Sometimes that happens, and you guys would be like...
We made a fatal mistake. We thought, okay, it's raining outside. Let's crack open the window. We didn't even think about the flies. It's November. There's already been 3 frosts.
I know. I thought they would have been dead by now.
And then sure enough, there's like 5 flies that came into the cabin to escape the rain. And I was thinking, you are still alive?
I know. I thought we'd run the clear, but apparently
not.
All right. Let's do some cake.
I got this too if you need it. Oh, thank you.
Yep.
We don't exactly have the best knife for this. It's a butter knife, so it's kind of just smushing it.
Works for me. Because I'm almost smushing it in my mouth.
Right. It's still steaming.
Yeah, it's very hot. The color is beautiful on this. Now, if you don't have a Dutch oven with a roaring fire to cook this at, what temperature should they cook this? About 375, you'd say, for about...
Yeah, it was probably like 370 something, if I had to guess.
And it took us roughly 40-45 minutes, I think.
Yeah, 45 minutes, I think it was. Okay, so let's try it at the same
I'm going
time.
in.
I said let's try it. Oh, okay. Hold on.
Come on, woman. I'm hungry.
Ching. Why does this taste like bananas?
I don't taste bananas. This tastes like raisin nut bread or something.
But
like a muffin.
No nuts.
And it's got the yeasty flavor. I like it. It's good. Like a yeast roll. It's got a little bit of fermentation or twang from the yeast.
Okay.
I kind of like it. This is good.
As far as this time period goes, as I was saying, we don't have very good history with cakes. Like, a lot of them are just very bland. Except for queen cakes and heart cakes and pound cakes. Those are really good.
I like those.
But this isn't bad at all.
No, it's not.
The texture is great.
It actually reminds me of a wedding cake.
Yeah, but way more simple.
Right, but it's got a little bit of the booze in it. It's got the brandy, which our wedding cake had. And then it's got the raisins in it.
It just doesn't have the lemon peel, the citron, the candied orange peel.
It's a very stripped down version.
Right.
But like you said, it's like a spice fruit cake, kind of.
It's like a spice cake. Dang it! You can't see, I'm sure, but these flies!
Don't move. I see them right there. Got him.
Run.
He's close to the food.
Nope, you didn't. You didn't get that one.
I'm so scared to go really hardcore next to the food. It's gonna splat him.
Note to self: the flies are not dead in November.
No, they're not.
Do not open the window even for 5 minutes.
I need some milk.
We have no screens.
Would you like some milk?
Okay. I thought that was all for you, and you were just gonna pour it down your throat directly.
Thought about it.
From that.
Tell you what I'm gonna do though. Something very revolutionary.
You're gonna put it. This ain't cornbread. That's interesting though.
It might be good.
Ding. I'm changing everything.
Funk. Ice cream would be good with this. So this is it's still hot.
Oh, milk is so good right now.
I'm good on the milk.
What would I would rate the milk a 10 out of 10. What would I rate the cake? Okay, for an 18th century cake, I would say this is like a 9 out of 10.
A 9 out of 10?
Yeah, because they're usually extraordinarily bland. Because they don't add nearly enough sugar. And I'm the kind of person, I like sweets that aren't very sweet. I cannot eat icing. I always scrape the icing off of my cupcakes and my cakes because it's way too sweet for me. But most 18th century cakes are so bland, it tastes like you're eating a sad bread. But this is not bad. This actually tastes like you're eating some sort of a simple, poor man's cake.
Yes. So
9 out of 10. Modern, it would probably get like a 7 out of 10. Needs nuts. But it's really, really good. Yeah, I really like this. In fact, I would make this again if someone asked me to make a 1790 something cake. I would make this again.
Okay.
What about you?
I am going to give it an 8.
An 8.
I do like sweeter things. Icing would really dress this thing up. But overall, the flavor of it is good. The texture is good, and it's very, very pretty to look at. It's nice and golden. But I do like icing on my cake.
Oh, we're the opposite when it comes to that.
Yes, we are.
I'm not a cupcake person. Because of that, I prefer muffins. Did you?
Oh, good job on the cake.
You took all the milk.
Did you drink all yours already?
Yeah, you only gave me a thimbleful.
I gave you about half of what there was there.
Really? Well, I guess I'm just a bottomless
Well, here you go.
pit.
Here's some more.
Yeah, that's how much you gave me the first time, too.
No.
So to summarize, we like and approve this cake. I gave it a 9.
In fact, I'm going to go for another
And
piece.
Ron gave it an 8. So that means this is a mighty fine cake, an American receipt from 1796.
Still hot.
It's still steaming. If you like raisins, you will like this cake. It's a tradition that's kind of died out a little bit. Though I will say Americans do tend to bring either cakes or cupcakes to every single large public event to hand out. So I think we still kind of do it to some extent, bringing a just generic cake to a public event.
And whether you win or lose in this election, this cake is sure to lift your spirits.
Oh yeah, so make this cake. Now, it depends when you're watching this video, but we're putting this video out on Election Day, 2024.
There has been 60 presidential election days in the history of America since 1789.
60. When you put it like that, it actually doesn't sound like a lot.
It doesn't.
60?
Every 4 years.
Wow, but there's only been, this would be the 47th president.
Right. So some presidents have won back-to-back, so they just kind of count as that same president. Because George Washington won 2 terms, but we don't say he's the second president. We say John Adams is the second president. So that's how that works out. So we're voting for the 47th president in our 60th presidential election, if that makes sense.
Oh, 60. that really makes it feel like, oh, let's just start yesterday. But yeah, do make this at home, guys. It's quite good, and even though it was a little more tricky to make because it's a yeast cake, it wasn't bad.
I like it. It's really good.
Yeah, it is really good. It's different.
Well, let me get into some election fun history facts here. We have
This way.
1,
Weird
2,
facts.
3, 4, 5. We have 5 history facts regarding the election in the United States of American history. Where's he at?
He's gone. He's gone.
Okay.
He's gone. Earlier today, I did kill one with my bare hand, which sounds gross, but come on, I was really proud of myself.
I hope that was after you creamed the butter.
It was.
Okay.
It was. Is that a raisin or? It has legs!
Oh, don't ruin it for me. Okay, the first one I have here. Did you guys know that only 10 of the 13 states originally elected George Washington as president in 1789? All but Rhode Island, North Carolina, and New York. So they didn't get to participate because they did not ratify the U.S. Constitution at that time. They were not in favor of it. The next fun fact I have for you is the runner-up of presidential elections ended up being the vice president.
That is the worst idea I've ever heard.
By 1804, they realized that was a big problem, so they changed it because nobody wants to work with the other one.
Yeah, so, okay, you have two of the leading candidates, right?
A and B.
Jim Bob and Jim Bob Smith. I just made that up. Okay, so let's say Jim Bob gets elected president. Automatically, that means Jim Bob Smith has to be Jim Bob's vice president no matter what. Can you see how that would be a horrible idea? Two people with completely different political views who probably hate each other now have to work closely together for the next 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't last very long.
Because they're probably combating against each other, so
yeah,
that was changed pretty quickly.
Uh-huh.
The next one I have. Did you know that in 1790, New Jersey made it legal for women to vote? Women who owned property, of course.
Okay, so 1790.
1790 in New Jersey. It didn't last long, unfortunately, so about 1807, I believe, or 1808, they got rid of that, and women were no longer allowed to vote in New Jersey. It never went any farther than that until I think we got to the 20th century, and then women got the right to vote, I believe, in 1920s or something like that. But that was a fun fact for you. In 1790 in New Jersey, women could vote if you owned property. Next, there wasn't an official election day until 1845 when Congress passed a federal law declaring that the first Tuesday following the first Monday in November shall be election day.
Before then, it was just any random day, really, that they said, okay, this year election day is going to fall on September 5th, guys. And then 4 years later, okay, this year it's going to fall on October 3rd.
Usually it was at some time during the winter because there was no harvest and there was no planting going on. So it was the most convenient for everybody when they weren't so busy.
I see.
And another one that I didn't know of is the voting age used to be 21, and then in 1972 they changed it to 18.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I didn't either. Learned it this morning.
Wait, didn't the drinking age used to be 18?
Yeah, I think so, and they raised it.
Right, they raised it to 21, and I'm sure that they raised it to 21 because the draft technically starts at 18. Like, if you're 18, so they figured, if I can fight in the military, I should be able to vote.
Yeah, you should be able to have a beer. I mean, I'm not advocating for teens drinking because I wasn't one of them people. I didn't drink as a high schooler or anything.
We don't even drink now.
But my point is, if you can go fight and vote, you should be able to buy beer.
Well, a lot of people agree with you on that. That or they say that the draft age should be lifted to 21.
Yeah?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't really have an opinion on it.
Yeah, I haven't really thought about it.
Yeah,
I'm
I don't
way
know.
too old to... They don't want me. I would be like plan D. Like, things are really bad if you got to get the 36-year-olds off the couch. So.
I would be plan Z. But I would fight. I would do it.
Oh, yeah, of course.
If there was a draft.
I'm talking about the draft.
Yeah, I'm talking about the draft, guys. Like, the only way I seriously see there being another draft is if there's either World War III or if aliens literally attack the world.
If aliens attack, I'm pretty sure it's every man for himself.
Yeah, it probably is every man for himself. But if aliens attack, man, you bet I'm going to be out there. You bet. Getting all those aliens. Oh, yeah, I would.
Well, anyways, guys, we hope you have a fun and exciting and safe election day. Be careful out there. There's a lot of traffic, and sometimes you got to park across the road, and et cetera, et cetera. And no matter what, this is for the Americans watching. You live in the greatest country. We live in the greatest country, win or lose. And I don't mean that any disrespect to any other countries that are
Everyone
watching.
says their country is the greatest. Hey, if you're from
Right,
if you're from Spain, you live in the greatest country. If you live in England, you live in the greatest country.
You should take patriotism in your own country.
Exactly. Yeah.
So for those in the U.S. that are watching, just know you live in the greatest country, the United States of America.
You live in Mexico, you live in the greatest country.
This is a fantastic republic, and this is one of the many ways that we have to exercise our rights and the way we feel about things is to vote. So get out and vote today. Exercise it. If you don't vote, you can't complain, and you shouldn't celebrate.
Nope. I have a lot of respect for people that vote. People that don't vote yet they still complain.
Yep. I actually
are my pet peeve. To be
had
honest.
a friend who says, "Yeah, don't vote because it doesn't matter." It
doesn't matter.
I'll tell you when it does matter is when there's 50 million people saying that.
Also
then
say
it matters.
It doesn't matter.
So it does matter. Adds up.
It does matter tremendously. So please go out and vote. Your vote counts.
Yep.
And make this election day cake for 1796. It's very, very good.
All right, guys. We will see you all next week.
Take care. We love you.
Bye-bye.